I think the coolest part of today is it's December 19th, it's 70 degrees, the sun is shining, the grass is green. What an awesome day to be practicing football. We're lucky that way. We're lucky to be at an awesome school and to be out here practicing for a bowl game. I think our guys are very appreciative of that. Outside of that, it's the typical Wednesday practice for our guys in week. The guys that have been nicked up are still a little nicked up. Obviously, Ajane wasn't out yet. We got a little bit out of Achena today, and Antoine obviously is out. But the rest of the guys kind of work their way back into it, which is good. We'll have a light workout tomorrow, take a couple days off, and then get back to it on Tuesday.
What is the biggest difference between playing nose tackle and defensive end in your scheme?
Well, it depends. It depends on the situation as far as if we're in a 3-down or a 4-down front. It depends what we're asking them to do on a specific call. In general, the fundamentals and the techniques are very, very similar. It's not a drastically different position but because of the fundamentals and techniques required to do that. So I don't think it's that different. You're taking on a blocker that's right in front of you, and you end up two-gapping them. If we go to a 4-down front, we put them on an edge. That allows the guy a little bit more freedom to get up the field, which the defensive end would be comfortable doing that as well. So it's really not that much of a difference.
Is there a way that Galvan's height can actually be an asset playing nose tackle?
Well, I think throwing lane wise, when you're that tall and you're in the middle of the defense and you can get your hands up, it can affect a quarterback some, throwing the ball across the middle. Obviously his length is helpful if he can get his hands inside and separate from the center and be able to come off and make plays. So those two things is where the height and the length can play into it.
Leonard said he thought Cody Kessler would get the MVP. He didn't think defensive players got those types of awards. What does that say about him and just with his team?
Leonard's an awesome guy to coach. He loves football and he loves being around his team. He loves practicing. He loves playing the game for all the right reasons. And I think that's what makes him so genuine. I think that's why the players and coaches enjoy him so much as well. And just that comment alone, I think, tells you the type of person that he is. It's not about him, it's about everybody else. And he's a fun guy to coach. He's a fun guy to be around every day, not just on the field, but every day, even in our building.
We talked a bit about Andre Dar yesterday. This is a guy who you don't necessarily associate kickers necessarily with competitiveness, but it's a guy who had the job over different times the past few years. In the spring, or I guess the summer with you, had it, kept coming back, kept keeping that job. What does it say about him as a mindset, to be able to keep persevering? And now at this point, it looks pretty good the last month in terms of what he's been doing out here on the practice field.
Well, I think that just speaks to a guy's growth, and that's why you like to have seniors on your team, because they've been through stuff. They've had adversity, whether it's on the field or off the field, and they've had to fight through it, and you find your way. And that's what seniors provide you. They provide you that grit, that toughness, that willingness to overcome. And Andre's done that, and we've obviously challenged him. We challenged him in spring. We challenged him this summer. And you're right. He has continued to respond, and he's better for it, and we're better for it as a team.
Bryce Dixon made a really good catch today, a diving and a one-handed catch. What do you see as far as his role in this game and then also in the future in this program?
Well, I think Bryce's future is very bright in our program. He's a really talented guy. I think the best thing that happened to Bryce was to be able to be in a position group and be in a position meeting room with Randall Telfer every day. Randall's, is the veteran leader of this football team and a consummate professional approach to every single day that he takes in our building and on this field. And so it was the best thing for a true freshman player like Bryce to learn from, to be around every day. And Bryce says, you see it. You see Bryce's practice habits have just steadily gotten better and better and better. And today was a great example of that. In a 7-on-7 drill, leaving his feet to go make a diving catch, I think is showing the maturity that this guy is starting to possess and then ultimately exude. It doesn't matter what the drill is. He's playing with really good effort, and that effort is going to translate into what he does on game days. And it's going to help next Saturday, but really it's going to help even more so in the years to come for him.
Facing an offense like Nebraska, multifaceted, how valuable do you think it will be in terms of experience, but also even film study for next year? For you guys,
Well, I mean, the one thing about our conference is you get a lot of offense, and we've seen the gamut of the types of offenses that we've seen. That being said, Nebraska comes in with something a little bit different than we've seen because of the real threat of the quarterback running, but we've seen so much of it that this game's going to help because we're going to see more of it next year, and we add Oregon to the schedule next year, and all the stuff they do too. So you have to defend everything in our conference, and so you're not playing just two-back offenses. You're not just playing spread offenses. You really get everything. You have to be prepared to defend everything, and that's what makes our conference unique. And for all of us, year one in a system as we find our way through it, it'd be great to go out and really finish this thing off on a high note against a really talented offense here next Saturday night.
Ronnie Lott mentioned recently that one of the things he liked about you was you brought your own identity here in terms of the offense, which is different from Lane and Pete. How important was that to you to bring your own stamp on it?
I don't know any other way to do it, I go back to when I left to go to the University of Washington and I was an assistant here. I remember my last meeting with Pete, actually at the Rose Bowl. We just gotten done beating Penn State, and I was getting on an airplane the next morning to go to Seattle. And Pete's last words to me was, "Go be you. Don't try to be something you're not. You have to go be yourself." And I've always held on to that. I've never tried to do things because I was supposed to do it a certain way. I've always done it the way I believe is the right way to do it and what fits me and my personality and ultimately our team's personality and organization's personality. And so when I came back when I took this job, I made it really clear to Pat in the process that I want to do it the way I think is the best way to do it, not necessarily the way it's always been done before. There's going to be things that we keep and that we'll continue to do that have bbeen successful, and there's going to be some new ideas, some new thoughts, and new ways of doing things. Obviously, the offense being one of those things. And so, I feel like that's the way you have to do it, because if not, you're going to have regrets as a coach that, geez, I wish I would have done it the way I wanted to do it. And I've never had that regret. I've always felt great about the things we do. There's always things that we tweak and we try to get better at, and that will be no different this offseason. We're going to assess everything in this program to make sure that we're trying to do what's in the best interest of our players, our coaches, our staff, to ultimately make us the best football team we can be next fall.
Considering how it's always kind of been under center, pro style more or less here before you got here, there's a lot of talk about that when you got the job. How do you feel it's been received by the alums and people around this program?
I really don't know. I think our players like it. That's the most important thing to me. I think our players have fun with it. I think we're just scratching the surface right now of what we're capable of being and doing. I think that we've maintained a really good balance to our offense of running it and throwing it, and utilizing the backs. And obviously, we've still had a dynamic passing game and what Cody's been able to do, and Nelson and Juju and George and all those guys. But I really believe we're just scratching the surface. I think when we get an off season to get back together and really dissect it and fine tune it and find ways to really improve it, we're going to be even better next fall.